right, everybody. Welcome to Stadiacast. So we're having some tech issues here. This is Stadiacast. This is your show here on the Nerd Nest Network, talking about Google Stadia and all the fun things that come from that. My name is Lloyd. I'm joined by Bill. Bill, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty dang well. How about you?
You had a profile window mostly covering your face, so that is better now that that's not happening.
Oh yeah, I can. I'm watching it delayed slightly, so I looked over afterwards to see. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Everything's fine except for this thing was in my face.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So yeah, bit of a change here for Stadiacast. I'm recording this one on a completely new computer. I'm recording it on a Mac because I've had no end of PC problems over the last couple months, since like January basically, and eventually my PC finally just died. I can get it booting, I can copy some files, and then it shuts itself down. So I'm on a Mac. I had to buy a bunch of new equipment to get it working. So if you're noticing anything weird, like you're gonna notice here, let me go to the web browser view. You're going to notice if you're watching that things are going to be choppy, very choppy, and that is just a bug that I'm going to have to work through. Unfortunately, we can't do that right now, but that's enough of that. Stadiacast, we record this show this week on Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern on nerdnest.tv. You can support the show through many different ways. Super chats, you can do that while we're live. We'll answer those questions at the end of the show. I got to make sure my music is actually stopped. It is. That's good.
Okay.
You can join and become a member of this channel, and that'll give you access to videos and things on our Discord. And then, of course, there's the super applause button that you can do as well and give us some super applause or super thanks or whatever they're calling it this week in YouTube land.
Change
it. They will change it. As soon as I say something, they have a bot that listens, and whenever we talk about it, they change the name, and then we have to adjust accordingly. All right, Bill, I think that is it. I think that's it for the intro. We did it. We made it like 5 minutes into the show without any tech problems other than the slow browsing.
I think we'll survive the slow browsing. It'll be like 1995.
Yeah, it's true. You have to wait for the JPEGs to download slowly as your, or I guess it would have been GIFs back in the day or whatever. I don't know if JPEG was super usable back in the day. Anyway, let's get into Stadia. How's it been, Bill? It's been a while because of having to cancel for Easter, right? Was it Easter? Was
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day. Wow. Time has no meaning.
Mother's Day was 2 weeks ago, and we were doing the show every 2 weeks, and then it just happened to be that was Mother's Day, so it's been a month.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Yeah, it's been a month.
Yeah, it's been far too long. But Bill and I had been chatting before recording this one, and we got a bit of an announcement here. I think we should get it out of the way right at the start of the show, if that works. This is going to be the final Stadiacast podcast for the foreseeable future. Bill and I are going to be taking a break on this show. We're still going to be covering Stadia news here on Nerd Nest. There's still going to be videos going up if there's any like big news and other things. But there just hasn't been the volume of content for a bi-weekly show even, because of just sort of the slowdown for Stadia as a platform for the first half of this year. We're hopeful that is going to course correct and go back to the way it was. But we thought that instead of coming out here and chatting for an hour about things that we're kind of like scrambling and scraping together news, it would make more sense to cover cloud gaming on our On Deck podcast, because it's a PC focused show. A lot of people do cloud gaming from the PC. It seems like just a perfect fit for that type of content there. But then when there's big news, if a major AAA comes out, we will definitely be covering that. Any new features on Stadia, we would be covering that with like just a newsy video. but it seems like this is a good way to step back for a little bit on the kind of weekly, bi-weekly podcast side, which I know is going to be disappointing to a lot of people in chat right now and people that are going to be commenting
Mhm.
after. So hopefully this is a short step away, but I think this is going to be better for just the content on this channel.
Yeah, Lloyd and I have been doing this show for 3 years now, which
Hmm.
is it's crazy that this is episode 151. So like 3 years we've been covering this, and there's going to be people who will be like, those guys are good. I'm happy that those guys stopped their show. They didn't defend Stadia enough. We never got into the show in order to be like a mouthpiece for Stadia. We got into it because we were excited for the platform. And I'm still going to play Stadia. And
Hmm.
if there's something cool, we're still going to talk about it. Like if I play a game and I really, really like it, I might talk about it on Games with Bill. If I'm playing it on Stadia on my Steam Deck, then Lloyd and I will probably talk about it on deck.
Hmm.
Or maybe we'll just put out a video here on the channel about it. But I haven't been excited about Stadia in a while. Like it just like the games that come out, I'm like, okay, it's cool that there is news, but I don't have an opinion on the news most of the time, or my opinion hasn't changed. Like, how do I say this? I feel like we come on here and I've been saying the same things each week
Right.
for like the past couple of months. I've just been like, oh yeah, that's an interesting game. I'm not really interested in it. And
Yeah.
over and over, that kind of makes it not exciting to do the show anymore. And Lloyd and I don't do this for the views. We do it because it's fun. We do it
That's right.
for the excitement of it. So that's one of the reasons why Lloyd and I are deciding to step back from the show. And if Google gets us excited again, maybe we'll bring the show back. But right now, there's just not much to be excited about.
Yeah, exactly. Like when Bill and I started talking about doing content here, it was always we're going to cover what excites us, and that's why we've had Nintendo content, we've had all the different streaming platforms and other stuff on this channel. So it's not. I mean, people are going to say you guys are haters now, which for me is always kind of weird. That kind of viewpoint where you either have to be 100% positive or you're a hater. Um,
Hmm.
that hopefully some stuff like that will start to fall by the wayside, because that has been frustrating over the last little while. But again, it's not that we dislike the platform. It's just there really isn't enough news to do a weekly show or a bi-weekly show, um, because it's not news that we're super stoked about. I guess, and it goes back to we do this because we love it. We do that because we want to cover stuff that is super exciting on the channel, and that hasn't been there for a while. So what my hope is that we're going to get amazing news every week for the next couple months, and then we'll be like, okay, we made a horrible mistake, we're back, we're covering all the great stuff. Like hopefully this is the catalyst to make that happen. But until that type of stuff happens, we're going to be doing onesie twosie videos and covering the Stadia platform that way.
Right. And all that really will change is that we won't have a dedicated show that like that is always going to be there all of the time.
Hmm.
You'll still get the content. It won't be like predictable. And if you're somebody who just listens to the podcast, I wouldn't unsubscribe from that RSS feed
Yep.
because it doesn't do anything. Just ignore it. And if we decide to start a new or bring it back, then like we'll drop something on that RSS feed and you'll already be subscribed. So
100%. That was one thing that I meant to mention and I totally forgot. So good remembering that, Bill. There could come a time when uh, I don't know, someone comes out with a new story, or Stadia drops a huge new feature, and we'll do Stadiacast. We'll get it out there so people that are
oh yeah, that's
listening
been
to the MP3 in their phones or whatever can get it. So anyway, that's enough about that. We're taking a
yeah.
pause here for the foreseeable future. Hopefully it's not a long break, but hopefully that'll allow us to kind of recharge our batteries a little bit and get back to talking about the stuff that we truly love.
Yeah, and let's move on. But I will say this: Primo Yannick in chat, they said there's been tons of news lately. But I guess if you lose interest, it doesn't really matter. And that's absolutely the thing. We don't want to make a show that is not actually something that we're interested in making a show about. You can see through that really, really easily. And that's not fun
Yeah, there's nothing
for
fun about
anybody.
going through the paces to do
Hmm.
it. And there has been news for Stadia, but it's been stuff that hasn't been incredibly exciting for the reason why we love the platform at the start with AAA games, big titles, new tech, amazing technology, right? So yeah, it's Two Dogs. It's a show like Seinfeld. Yeah, it's a show about nothing. No, that's not not what we're doing, and we're not saying that there's anything wrong with the platform. It's just
No.
we do content creation not to get the eyeballs, not to get the views. Excuse me, to get the views. We do it because we truly enjoy doing it, and that is part of the reason why we're making this decision and this change for right now, essentially.
Yeah.
All right, enough of that. Let's get into the show. Bill, what have you been playing, man?
So I played a little bit of Lumote and I played a little bit of Cities Skylines. City Skylines, I don't really have much to say about it. I played that, I don't know, a million years ago, I guess, on PC, and it's the same game and it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really for me, but that's fine. Lumote was really interesting. So I was playing. I launched it, and hopping around as this little, I don't know, jellyfish looking dude, and there's almost no guidance at all, except for like, hey, push a button. I really like how minimalist it is. I love the visual design. I love the what's the word I'm looking. I love the audio of the game as well. Like it really, there's like little cues that you hear like in your headphones or in your speakers that
Mm-hmm.
they don't like display something on screen right away, but you're like, oh, there's something happening here. And basically you play as this little jellyfish, you move around, you interact with the world in order to try and switch like switches on so that you can go through gates. And it's really interesting. I don't know if it's going to hold my attention because these kind of puzzle platformers, I usually enjoy them for, I don't know, an hour or two, and then I will inevitably run into a puzzle that I can't quite figure out, and I'll put it down. I'll be like, I'll try that again later, and then I never get back to it. The one thing I will say about Lumote is you've played it too, right?
Yep.
Okay, were you getting like weird frame hitching from time to time as well? Because when I was playing it, I'm not super sensitive to bad frame rates or something. But as I was playing it, I was like, oh, that seemed weird. I'm getting some kind of frame hitching as I was playing. Were you running into
Sure.
that?
I don't think so. I played it on my PC. I played it on the Chromecast version. I also played a bunch of it on the Steam Deck as well. I didn't really run into that. I noticed that when I first launched the game, it launched because basically you start the game and then immediately you're kind of in the game. Like it throws you right in and it says, "Hey,"
Yeah.
well, it doesn't say "Hey," it just doesn't tell you anything, and you kind of figure it out, right? To what to do. I noticed that my first play, things sounded and looked weird, so I quit and relaunched, and then all that went away. So it must have been like a weird network issue or whatever. But I've really been enjoying it. I haven't gotten super far. I like these chill out puzzle games to kind of chill out when I need to chill out. So I've been using it for that. But I absolutely love the world. I love the like squishy jelly things that are moving around. And the puzzle mechanics are really fun. Like for the first like kind of first world, you're learning that you can jump on certain things and attach to them and then move as them as you
Hmm.
make your way through the level. And with like all the really great like visual changes with all the lights, because everything is kind of like translucent, like you're kind of like a deep sea fish or whatever. This is a really amazing game for puzzle lovers, and it's just super cute. And but my favorite part about this game, Bill, is when you screw up, you immediately restart. Nothing's
Hmm.
wrong. It doesn't say you're dead, you failed, restart. It's just like you die, you reappear, that's it. These types of games that encourage a lot of um, experimentation, I guess.
Mhm.
Having that that restart loop being really really quick gets rid of a lot of frustration, and that's what this game is doing 100%.
Yeah, I feel like there was I was on a spot and I was kind of stuck and I was like, okay, so like you can control these little boxes that you hop on top of, right? And then I had moved one on top of a thing and it extended a platform. And I was like, okay, well, I can't jump with the box because jumping makes you jump off of the box. I will say that I wish that they had made jumping like on the like either the trigger or the bumper because
Mhm.
then I could keep my thumb on the right stick to control the camera.
Right.
But that's not what I was talking about. So I was like, okay, well, I can't make that jump with the box, and I need that box over there. And I had gone. It didn't occur to me to put two boxes on the thing to make it extend further. I was like, I thought it was more of a binary thing. So like it's either extended or it's not extended. You
Right.
know what I mean? And so then I moved the box, the second box over to the little platform and it extended like all the way. And I was like, oh, like a little light bulb turned on. And one of those like that's one of the things that I love is when a game lets you have that moment of the light bulb turning on and you're like, okay, I get it. That's
Yep.
really cool. So I think that Lumote is a really interesting game and I think a lot of people are going to have fun with it.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. Really felt the same. Like I didn't know what to do in the situation that I was in. I'm like, how do I get over there? And it's like, oh, you put two boxes on the little branchy things, and they extend doubly as far. It's like, okay, well that totally makes sense. The game doesn't tell you that. It just encourages the play. So you play around with it, you figure it out, boom, there you are, and you've solved that puzzle. Just a heck of a lot of fun. Big fan of Lumote. I hear it's a short-ish game, which is good. A shortish puzzle game is kind of the perfect thing. So I'm eagerly anticipating going through the game and playing more and more of it because it is a heck of a lot of fun. Besides Lumote, I've already also jumped in. And actually, before that, people that are watching the video now, whether it's a VOD or live, if you're seeing like framiness from Bill's camera or like the web browser stuff that's going on, it's because I'm on an M1 Mac and I'm using a non M1 version of OBS. OBS is having problems keeping up here. So didn't realize that this was going to be an issue until we started recording. So my apologies for that for anybody that's watching. Anyway, back to City Skylines. It's on Stadia. It was announced as another pro title that we didn't know was coming. The game dropped and it plays really good. It plays surprisingly well. I played through kind of the tutorial mission, building roads, building residential areas. It plays just as good to me as the PlayStation 4 version. I think is the version I played, or was it an Xbox version? One of the console versions that I had played previously. Was it that, or was it a PC? I can't remember. I played this game for a long period of time.
It's an older game. I think it's 8 years old.
Yeah, maybe it was. Maybe I was playing the PC version back in the day. I own it in multiple places because that's my psychosis that I do. I buy games on multiple platforms. It plays really really well on Stadia. I wasn't sure what to expect. If it would be like choppy, if there'd be some issues, because this is one of the games that was using the low change porting toolkit to bring it to Stadia. So I played it on PC. I played it on just streamed to just a screen with a controller. It plays really good. I played it on Steam Deck last night for about an hour, and it played perfectly fine. This is a really good port of this game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how good the port is. I played it a little bit, and I think I saw Original Penguin on Twitter because he does all the like frame, like counting how many pixels things are, and I think that they said it was something around 4K, and I guess you can go into the mode and get 1080 60 or 4K 30. This is like the perfect kind of game to have 4K 30 because it doesn't have to go like it. It's not about Twitch gaming or whatever. um, I think it's cool. I know myself, and playing these kind of games is really interesting once, and
Mm.
then I never go back to them. I'm
Sure.
like, okay, I'm going to try building this city and I'm going to put my thing over there. And eventually, what happens inevitably is the money starts going down and down and down. And I get frustrated and I'm like, all right, well, it was really fun for a while, but I'm not having fun anymore because I'm just too bad at it. So, if you love city building games, cities Skylines is a really, really good game. If you don't like city building games, there's nothing here for you. I
Yeah.
will say this. I saw like somebody had tweeted about like the DLC, or maybe it was on the subreddit, the
Yeah.
DLC prices. And I was like, wow, that
Yeah.
is expensive. If you want to buy all of the DLC,
Hmm.
you better have a lot of money in your pocket, or just play the main game on Stadia Pro.
Yep. Yeah, that's the thing with this game is it's old, as you said, Bill. It's been out for years and years and years. There are just a large number of DLC packs available everywhere. They ported all that to Stadia, which is fantastic. If you go through the list, there's a bunch that are free. There's like your Eco Pack and a bunch of other ones which you can download for free. But a lot of these DLCs are like 15, 10, 15, $20 or whatever. That adds up really quick. One thing,
Yeah.
if you're really into this game and you really like it, pick one or two up at full price. But I've seen on other platforms the DLC goes on sale frequently, so you might want to wait for a sale here. Who knows if that's going to happen on Stadia, because we can't predict the future, but it's happened
Yeah.
on other platforms, so you can probably assume that that's going to happen here as well. Really good game. I need to like run it like 4K with mouse and keyboard and kind of see how that works. I was playing it on my laptop with a smaller screen. I just want to see how much you can crank everything up to 11 and get this game running. But this is impressive. If this is how well the low change porting toolkit runs on Stadia, maybe that is going to invite back a lot of developers that were basically saying, well, I'm not bringing my game to Stadia because it's running on Linux. Recently, Epic, someone tweeted them
Hmm.
about, hey, you brought it to GeForce Now, you brought it to xCloud, why don't you bring it to Stadia? And they said, well, we're not getting any money from those platforms. We didn't charge them money to bring it to those platforms. We would love to bring it to Stadia if they had a way we could run the PC version. Maybe low change porting toolkit will be that in the future. It would be nice to get Fortnite on this platform as a really awesome free to play game. So hopefully, what City Skylines has done will entice other developers to bring their games over as well.
Yeah, and I see that there's going to be people that'll say, well, I mean, it's an 8-year-old game. It's not a game that gets updated all the time. Like, the thing about Fortnite, you say what you want about it, but it gets updated nonstop, and not little
Every week.
updates like yeah, but it's not even little updates. Like, there's huge updates to that game, and somebody's going to, oh, they're talking about Fortnite. Relax. Not I don't even play Fortnite, but you have to admit it's a huge game, and it's a very not active game. Like, the game has a life to it because everything is constantly changing about the way that you interact with the game, not just from the way that you move, but the brand new maps all the time and the new mechanics that they build in and
Hmm.
changing it to where you not even don't even have to build anymore. All of those things, those are huge changes. And
Yeah.
while the low change porting is definitely something that will work very well, I think, for games that you make them and then you're done with them.
Hmm.
um Something like Fortnite, where it's just a nonstop, always in development and new stuff all of the time, and having to release all that stuff simultaneously across so many different platforms, I just don't think it's ever going to happen.
No, it's funny because there was a comment early on that we don't want to bring it to another platform. We already have enough platforms to manage. I can't remember what platform it was for. They said that, but then they just launched it on GeForce Now, and it's essentially the mobile version that's running on GeForce Now servers. So they did create a new version for this. So maybe that is a future possibility. Hopefully, low change porting will allow that to happen in the future. We'll see. Fortnite's huge, and getting big games like that on the platform would be really big. All right. Speaking of news, let's get into that for this week. We're going to switch over to this week on Stadia. We already talked about City Skylines. This game is pretty fantastic. I'm a big fan of SimCity. I used to play SimCity and SimCity 2000 all the time. City Skylines is like that game cranked up to 11. It is a pretty fantastic game, and it runs really, really well on Stadia. That said, I haven't built a like LA size city, which causes most PCs to like fall over and stop working on Stadia. I'd be really curious to see some of those really large cities, how well it runs on Stadia, to see how well this porting toolkit works for the developers. But I'm very impressed with how well it runs. We talked about it already. We don't need to spend any more time on it. We also found out news that, Far Cry Primal, one of the games that has been teased and announced and then not announced and then announced and not announced, is finally on Google Stadia. You can pick it up now on the Stadia store for $30. I love Far Cry. We've talked about Far Cry here on the channel for many years, because we've talked about a lot of Ubisoft games here on the channel. Far Cry Primal was one of my kind of favorite side games, because Far Cry always puts out a main game and then they put out a side game for every main release. Hasn't happened now for the latest one, but hopefully we'll get that in the future. Far Cry Primal is essentially you're going back to play as a caveman in kind of the same world as Far Cry 4 or Far Cry 4, I think. I think that's the one. So when you're playing through it, if you've played the original game, you're going to notice the world is the same. The landmarks are the same. Like everything's the same, but it's obviously like thousands of years earlier. Really, really fun. And it's really nice to see that on Stadia.
Yeah, I've never played a Far Cry game until Far Cry 6, and I really liked Far Cry 6. Far Cry Primal sounds really cool. I don't know that I want to play those older games, so I probably won't play any of the older Far Cry games, but I'll jump in on, Far Cry 7 or Far Cry 6 Primal or whatever they're going to call it.
Whatever they're going to come up with.
But I know that there's a lot of people that love those games, and being able to play those games on any screen, that's pretty compelling.
Definitely. Yeah, 100%. So do check that one out. We also got news that 9 to 5 is out of early access. This launched on Stadia just a few months ago. I played it at launch, and there was some major issues. In watching streams and other people playing, it looks like most of those issues have been fixed. So it's now a version 1.0. The 1.0 update gave you new maps and modes, gave you new weapons, a bunch of new progression options and things like that. Really great to see for people, because I know there's a lot of folks in the Stadia community that are really into this game. Didn't grab me at the start, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to grab a lot of other people that are on the on playing on the Stadia platform.
Yeah, I think 9 to 5 definitely suffers from the fact that it suffers from the fact that it's in the same, like, not genre, maybe genre, the same. For me, it ticks all the same boxes as something like Rainbow Six. So I, I I'm just not interested in playing that particular game. If I'm going to play that kind of game, I'll play either Rainbow Six Siege or Rainbow Six Extraction. Siege is unbelievably fantastic port on Stadia, runs really, really well. I know that people will be like, well, it doesn't have the right FOV or whatever. It doesn't have the FOV slider. I never mess with that stuff anyway. I don't play these games competitively. I just log in and have fun. And I had a lot of fun with Far Cry, not Far Cry. I was reading chat. I had a lot of fun with
Rainbow Six Siege.
Rainbow Six Siege. I thought that game was fantastic. And then Extraction even got rid of the fact that I would playing against other players. But 9 to 5, I just saw somebody in chat, Chris Scott, just said 9 to 5 launched too early. Absolutely. It was a huge mistake for them to launch in that state. And there's a lot of people who probably tried that game and will never try it again because it launched in such a poor state. And I don't know who made that decision to say, yeah, let's push it. It's running like crap right now, and there's all kinds of problems, but let's push it. and we'll fix it afterwards. I think that was a big mistake for them.
Definitely. Yeah, you don't want to put your like not best foot forward for a game like that. So hopefully they'll keep iterating on it, and it will be a game that a lot of people are playing on the platform. All right. Besides that, Dawn of Monsters has a free play weekend coming up from the 26th to the 31st. So next week, it's going to be on sale for $21, down from $30. Love Dawn of Monsters. Really great game, and hopefully a lot of people will be able to play it now that it's on a free play weekend. And then celebrate Pac-Man's 42nd birthday, which is really scary. It means that I'm older than Pac-Man, because I am older than Pac-Man, and that makes me feel really, really old. So starting May 22nd, you can get the game for 50% off. So $10 if you want to play Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle. And it's also a game that is on trial as part of the Stadia demo trial things. So you can check out that game as well. Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle. What a great game. We've talked about it here on the channel many, many times. It was kind of mind-blowing when it launched. Really fun game. Needed more of this type of thing when it first came out, before the population that was playing it kind of disappeared. So hopefully this will bring a bunch of people in, because having 64 players playing and jumping into each other's games, so much fun back when this game first launched.
I love that game. It is so awesome. I love the art style for it. I think their biggest problem is their monetization model. Their monetization model should be a free-to-play game supported by stupid ways that you can dress up your Pac-Man. Trying to sell people this game is, in my opinion, a massive mistake. It should just be, and we said this when it first came out, it should be a free-to-play game. Because if it's a free-to-play game, especially if it's on Google, is it on other platforms yet? I can't remember.
I think so.
It doesn't matter. Let's imagine that it's not on other platforms. All you have to have is a Gmail account, and then you can log in and play this game for free. And then they're going to make so much more money than they would if they, like, because people aren't going to want to take a risk on paying, what is it, $20 for Pac-Man?
Yeah, on sale for 10, but yeah, regular price is $20.
Such a good game, and nobody plays it.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part. Hopefully this sale will bring a lot more people in for Pac-Man's 42nd birthday, which is crazy.
Hey, let me ask you a question real quick, Lloyd. What do you like better, Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle or the Pac-Man? They had like the Pac-Man Battle Royale on Switch.
Oh, that one. I don't know. I think of all the Pac-Man games, my favorite was the what was the Pac-Man game where the world would just keep changing while you're playing it.
Oh, with the flashing lights, it was like, it had the techno music in the background.
Yeah, and you'd have like half the map wouldn't be there, and then you'd collect things and things would appear. Championship
really
Edition. I think it
too.
was Pac-Man Championship Edition. I think that's what it was. That was my favorite Pac-Man game of all time. Between the two, I like this one on Stadia. It like jumping into other people's games in real time through the mega tunnels, because you're in a mega tunnel battle, just made me so happy. so happy. So I think between the two, the Switch one and this one, I'd have to choose Mega Tunnel Battle.
And I'm gonna interrupt the show one more time. Battle Royale game, Bomberman 64 or Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle. Which one do you prefer there?
Bomberman by far.
Yeah, I like Pac-Man myself, just because Bomberman, every time I play that, I go up against people who are just way too incredibly high skilled for me.
That was tough when we were doing kind of like not really a tournament, but we were playing with a lot of people, and we had that one guy that is a professional Pac-Man player.
Alucard.
Yes. And it was just like, or a Bomberman player rather. And it was just like, well, that's no fun. You're going to kill everybody without any sort of chance for them. I guess it's fun for that guy, but not for the rest of us. Yeah. A lot of fun. Right. Next up, we got a Next Up on Stadia announcement. We had Outright Games had a kind of their announcement for what's coming for the coming year. And they announced 6 titles that are coming to Google Stadia. These are, of course, Outright Games. They're games that skew young. They're meant for children and the young at heart. So a lot of these games won't hit the radar for a lot of people. But if you have kids, young kids, you'll be able to play a lot of these games. Hopefully, a lot of them down the road will also come to Stadia Pro, because I think having kids games in Stadia Pro is a huge, huge win for Stadia. So we have Star Trek Prodigy Supernova, which looks like a really fun kind of action RPG sort of in the new Star Trek world. So they have a cartoon that is way different than any other Star Trek property that I've ever seen. And I watched a couple episodes with the kids, and they were kind of into it. So we said we're going to wait. That's where we can watch the whole season at once. Kind of left it by the wayside. This game looks really, really good, and I'm actually kind of excited about playing this one. Let me go down to
that
it.
makes one of us.
There it is. I thought the video was on top, but it was on the bottom. It looks really, really good, as far as these types of games go. So you're kind of going around in co-op, solving puzzles, attacking things. It just made me feel like it was more action RPG-y, although it doesn't seem like everything you kill is a loot pinata like a Diablo or Borderlands. Star Trek Prodigy Supernova looks really, really good.
I am getting some vibes from what was the Marvel game?
Ultimate Alliance?
Yeah. Just from the trailer, I'm getting Marvel Ultimate Alliance vibes, but I mean, maybe I'm completely wrong about this. I will say that apparently the entire cast of the TV show is doing their voices in the game as well. So if you're somebody who's into that TV show, this is going to be really great for you.
Totally right. I'm excited for this one. They also announced DreamWorks Dragon's Legend of the Nine Realms. I played the last one. It was okay. This game looks kind of the same-ish. It's very similar. Obviously not the same game. It's not as kind of top-down Zelda-like. This seems like more of a Spyro kind of 3D adventure. Looks fun. I know the Dragons movies and cartoon properties are huge for the kids, so getting this on Stadia is going to be good for the platform. And then there's some other game announcements. Let's go through them really quick. There's Paw Patrol Grand Prix. So if you like Paw Patrol, now you can play Mario Kart like with the Paw Patrol people. There is LOL. Right over here? LOL surprise. BB's Born to Travel. Not even something that I even want to watch the video on, but I know there's a lot of people that like that property as well. A lot of kids that like that property. There's a My Little Pony game, a Maritime Bay adventure. I know my daughter used to be absolutely obsessed with My Little Pony. I think she's a little too old right now. I'll show her the trailer and see what she thinks about it. She's in just about to go to high school, so I think this is going to be too young for her. But that is going to be on the platform. And then last but not least is League of Super Pets: The Adventures of Crypto and Ace. I love that this is a property. I know that they have toys at like McDonald's or something, and I was just like, really? Super Pets is that big of a property? This game actually looks kind of funny. It reminds me a lot of the old N64 Superman game, which people basically say
an awful thing to say.
People say it's like the worst game ever. The flying thing in this game reminded me of that, and I'm like, I wonder if they're doing this on purpose to like bring people back to that. But there's a bunch of stray pets that you're looking for. You're playing as the pets. Looks really fun. Good to see Outright Games really supporting Stadia. Like besides Ubisoft, it seems like Outright is kind of like the next biggest supporter. With a lot of these titles eventually coming to Pro, hopefully this is going to be fun times for families on Google Stadia.
Yeah, I do think that you'll probably get a lot of this stuff on Pro, which makes the thing about Stadia Pro that is absolutely fantastic is that it has family sharing.
Yeah.
So you can get this, like if you're subscribed to Stadia Pro, you can claim these games just so that you can stop seeing that claim button. And then they're shared to everybody in your family group. So your kids can all like get on their Chromebooks and log in with their account and play these games, and they're going to have a fun time. And it really didn't cost you all that much because you were probably already subscribed to Stadia Pro for yourself. So
Right.
I think that this is good. I don't want to play any of these games.
Yeah, I think for me, Star Trek Prodigy, I will definitely play that one. I like the show. I know my kids like the show. League of Super Pets, I want to play that as well, just because it's ridiculous and I like ridiculous games. But most of these other titles are very young for really young players. Hopefully, a lot of these come to Google Stadia Pro because according to the developers of the wine simulator, 100 days, right? I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
100 days
Oh, look at
winemaking
that
simulator.
segue.
It did really well, Bill, with Stadia
Yeah, it
Pro.
did.
It did very, very well with Stadia Pro, which kind of is insane. So if you look at their distributions, mostly a Steam game,
Hmm.
63% sold on Steam, 1.9% sold, not stoled, on Stadia. So less than 2% of their total sales on Stadia. Then you look at their income distributions. 21% of their income is from the Stadia Pro deal that they signed with Google, but
Yeah.
also 3% is the sales on Stadia. So even though it only sold 2%, they made 3% of the cash just from selling copies on Google Stadia. Ridiculous.
That differential between the percent of their users that are on Stadia and the percent of their income is crazy. When
Hmm.
Google made that change, I forget when it was, last year, I'm sure, when they made that change to how Stadia Pro payout does payouts to publishers, like we were like, that sounds really interesting. I think that a lot of publishers are going to make a lot of money from this, and that's going to entice them to the platform. And this is proof of that. It took a long time to get that proof, maybe
Right.
because Google isn't talking about this, but man, they ought to be talking about this, because we shouldn't be waiting for 100 days developer to say, hey, 2% of our users are playing on Stadia. Everybody laughs. Ha ha ha. Look at these lamos. Oh,
Hmm.
but 20 whatever percent of our income comes from there
Yeah.
for people who are subscribed and not paying for that game. That's crazy.
Yeah, 100%. Like that is crazy. The developer Yves Holler comes on and says, I personally suggest to every indie dev that has a game with a joystick controller to bring their game to Stadia because they're missing out on a potential 20 to 25%. Basically saying you're leaving money on the table. If you don't bring it to Stadia and you don't get a deal with Stadia Pro, you are leaving money on the table. Ridiculous. We saw this earlier on with other developers saying that Stadia Pro or Stadia sales basically save their company, and we've covered these stories for the last 3 years, but it just keeps showing that Stadia Pro is a viable option for a lot of developers. Probably mainly indie developers. This is basically free income for these indie developers that are selling their game on Steam and itch.io and everything else.
Mhm.
This is like leaving money on the table. So hopefully this will encourage every indie game that is coming out to at least investigate Stadia as a platform, hopefully sign more development agreements and get a lot of these newer indies that are coming out in the next 6 to 12 months as a game that is launching on Pro. More money for indie devs means more indie games, which means more amazing titles for us to play.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, and not just indies. Like
Hmm.
if they're making this much money from Stadia Pro, then the big guns get in there. They're going to make a lot of money too,
Yeah,
because it's paid out depending on how often, or like how many plays you get or something. So the more people that are playing the games on Stadia Pro, the more money that the publisher makes.
that's right.
So it, like, those big games come to Stadia Pro, they're gonna clean up.
Definitely. Yeah, like the next big multi-platform AAA, if it launches free into Stadia Pro, that developer is going to get a huge cut of that monthly's pro revenue,
Yeah.
which may be a better way to go about it on the platform than trying to sell copies, because of Stadia having smaller user base than pretty much any other platform. This is just giving developers and publishers kind of new avenues to scrape up as much income as they can, which is good. I know people don't like talking about money, but the gaming industry is a huge business. And if you're not making money, you're not going to bring games to the platform, which is kind of the issue that we've had with Stadia for a while, with big third-party devs saying, no, we're not bringing, we brought the last one. We signed a deal with Google to bring the last one. We're not bringing the next one out, not until things change. Hopefully things like this will start that change.
Yeah.
Awesome. We got this is a little bit old. This is from the end of April, but I wanted to talk about it here just because there's a part of this Stadia APK breakdown that is really interesting. So this is from 9 to 5 Google. Stadia 413 preps game-specific touch controls and 1440p mobile streaming. So 1440p mobile streaming is great. It like giving resolution options for people that have a phone or a tablet is fantastic. The thing that makes me really excited is this game-specific touch controls, having individual icons and then having the developers have the ability to kind of make their own loadouts. This is really exciting because I've been playing some touchscreen stuff. I played like touchscreen Fortnite on GeForce Now. I've been playing some of the stuff on Xbox cloud streaming or cloud gaming, and the touchscreen interfaces all kind of seem samey across all the different games. On Microsoft's side, they have a few games that have done kind of this thing, like Minecraft. Touch version of Minecraft looks different than almost any other touch version of any other game. So if Google is baking this into Stadia as a default for their mobile app that acts as a controller, I think we're going to get better control options, better methods, and also more more understandable things. Like if you look at a touchscreen thing and you have like you have your cross on the side for your D-pad, you have like your 4 buttons, then you have a couple things around it. You don't know what A, B, C, D does, but if your icon is like a guy sneaking or a bullet or other things, it's just going to make that experience better and easier for people to grok when they first jump into the game. I really, really like this.
Yeah, I started up City Skylines. I tried it on my phone because I feel like, because isn't 100 Days has like a
Full touch
default, full touch interface, and I was like, oh, maybe City Skylines does, because that's the kind of game, like, boy, I loaded it up and it had all of every button that's on the Stadia controller on my screen covering up everything, and I was like, oh, that's disappointing. It would have been really, really nice if it had that same thing that they did with 100 Days, where there was a full touch interface. I do hope that kind of thing comes, because there's a lot of that stuff where you just have all that stuff on the screen and it's just so distracting. So no, thank you. I think that's going to be a big improvement, especially because they're trying to push people towards the phone, because this, say what you want, but most video game playing happens on these devices. Way more happens on these devices. I'm holding up my phone for the audio listeners than does the consoles or PCs or anything else. The gaming industry, a lot of people look down their nose at the phones. I don't play games on my phone, but a lot of people do. And so you can't really ignore that.
100%. Yeah. And if you're making it a better experience, like it starts to feel native when you have like all your button prompts look similar to what they would if the person just downloaded the game from the App Store or whatever. This just makes so much sense. So really good to see Google moving in that direction. 1440p streaming, we already talked about that one. And then there's some odds and ends. There's like VIP perks and things like that. Don't really know what all of this means yet, but it's obvious that Google is testing things out. We haven't really heard much from Google in like the last year about what is happening with Stadia. And so when these news items come out, I really hope that we're leading towards a bigger event where they start talking about the platform as a whole. Not going to hold my breath for that, of course, because they've come out and said we're not announcing things ever again. It's just they're just gonna come out. So maybe that is going to indeed be the case. But seeing these development changes is good, and it just confirms something that I thought was kind of Google's new focus, which is get rid of selling controllers and allow people to use whatever they have and market it that way. You can use your phone, you can use your Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, whatever you want to do, and get out of the hardware selling business for Stadia. maybe that's not going to be the case. Maybe they're going to come up with new controllers, but it really feels like that's what they want to do. They want people to use their phone as a controller or any other third-party controller that they already have in their house, and just make it easy for people to jump right into Stadia.
Yeah, although I will say, I mean, it's gotten better since launch. The non-Stadia controller latency has improved since launch, but
Yeah.
if you want to have the best experience, it's definitely with a Stadia controller.
Definitely. Yeah. I get almost no latency anymore on any control scheme that I use, whether I'm on PC with mouse and keyboard, PC with a Stadia controller wired in with a Bluetooth controller, or on like my Steam Deck, like any control method that I've tried. It seems like all of those latency issues that I used to have are gone. Like Google's done a really good job getting even regular controllers working as good as their Wi-Fi based controllers. So maybe that's part of the thing. They're like, wow, we're able to shave 10% of the millisecond delay for people that are using these controllers. That gets it in line with this. Maybe we don't have to focus on this anymore and make it easier for people. So yeah, thanks to 9 to 5 Google for continuing to decompile these things and give us the goods.
So real quick, I want to talk about that 1440p.
Mhm.
Do you think that, like, comparing apples to apples, we got a GeForce Now, they have the 1440p 120 frames per second.
Yep.
Do you think that Stadia is trying to match that? Because when GeForce Now announced that, that was kind of a big blow to Stadia. Up until the 3080 tier, Stadia was just destroying everybody when it came to performance
Yeah.
in the cloud. And Xbox cloud gaming is still way back there. I think Luna is back there with Xbox. And
Right.
then there's GeForce Now and Stadia, and I feel like they're both very, very close, but GeForce Now is just a little bit better performance
Mhm.
because of that 120 frames per second thing. Do you think that this 1440p is a step in that direction?
I hope so. I really do. Like, if you have a game running at 1440p on one 4K screen, and you have the exact same game running at 4K on a screen right beside it, it is really tough to tell the difference for most games. Obviously, you're going to be able to tell it in some games. 1440p is a really good resolution for a lot of people. And if people have like these things, like I also have a new phone, Bill. It's not as fancy and big as yours, but it's nice and it's green. But if I could get, I think you have the Pro Max, right? I just have the Pro,
I
13 Pro.
do. I don't know which one this is. I
Yeah.
can't remember. I got this last year.
Okay, so this screen or screens like this can display more than 1080p. So if they can start pushing a 1440p resolution to devices like this, it's just going to make all these mobilely streamed games look that much better on these devices, without really adding too much to the bandwidth or whatever. Because of like the difference between 1080p and 4K is 4 times. Difference between 1080p and 1440p is I think it's like 0.9 times. So you can get a lot more data to the screen without a lot more bandwidth, which is really good. Awesome. Yeah. All right. A couple quick items before we call it a close on this episode. Rabbids Party of Legends was announced this week from Ubisoft that this will be coming. It'll be coming to PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and Stadia on June 30th. So if you wanted more Rabbids games, you can check this one out. This is a Switch trailer, but this is like a Rabbids version of a party game with waggle controls. It makes me really nervous when you watch this this one trailer that I'm playing right now, because the people that are playing and swinging their arms like it doesn't matter are basically standing right next to each other, and I'm sure someone got punched in the face. Like that had to have happened. Yeah, it's I don't know. This looks really good. I mean, it's a Ubisoft game. It makes sense that it's coming. But kind of in the same announcement, they also said that For Honor is not coming to Stadia, even though it was listed as coming to Stadia. So not every Ubisoft game is on the platform or will be coming to the platform. So news that it is coming, I guess, is news, and good for people that are really excited about Rabbids.
And there was the rollerblading game. What's the rollerblading game that is coming to
Roller
Stadia?
Champions or something?
Roller Champions.
That will be coming to Stadia as well, which is fantastic. That's coming out really soon too, like June.
I think
early
so.
June, right?
I'm not sure when. I have less than zero interest in rabbits. I find them to be completely irritating. I really wanted to love Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Hmm.
The gameplay was good. All of the interstitial stuff between was irritating, and it was enough to push me away.
Uh-huh.
Well, let's be honest. I just get distracted by things anyway, so that was probably what was going on.
Right.
I can't stand the rabbits. For Honor, not interested in. Roller
Champions or
Champions,
whatever.
thank you. I never remember the name of that game. Roller Champions looks fantastic. That
Hmm.
looks so much fun. Ubisoft announced it, what was it, 3-4 years ago at
Yeah.
E3? And like I was at I was at work when they announced it. And so I got to see the announcement when I got home, but you could no longer play it. And then the next year they were like, you can play it this weekend. And I never got around to actually, like, I downloaded it and installed it, and then I got busy, and then when I went to play it I couldn't play it anymore.
Right.
But it's so cool, and like the gameplay loop for that loop seems pretty compelling. I think that game's going to be fantastic.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm really excited about that one. And another game I'm excited about, which will be our last news item for this episode, Death Run TV. We got confirmation that it is launching in June. It is launching June 1st. So, yeah, if you want to play Death Run, it was basically, it's a game that is very much like, okay, I got to sign in because I'm not signed in on here. I'm not going to do that on this computer. It's essentially like, what is it? Total Carnage or Smash TV, but
Hmm.
with like kind of a 3D engine. So you're dual stick shooting, you're killing things, collecting loot, and trying to be the best person on this TV show. Which is, if you're the best, you're the one that I guess murders everybody the most. I guess that is
Yeah.
your I don't know, the qualifications for being the best in this game. Really, really excited about Death Run TV, and that will be coming to Stadia on June 1st.
I think that game looks enjoyable. I think that I'll probably jump in and play it for a couple hours, and then some other thing will distract me. It looks really fun,
Mhm.
but I'm not excited for it.
Okay. It's since it's coming out on the first, I wonder if this is going to be a pro title. If we're going to get an announcement
I hope
like
so.
next week that it is coming as pro, right? You kind of think that that has to happen, which means that a lot more people will have the option of checking that one out.
Yeah, and I can't see in chat is correcting us that Roller Champions is coming to Switch, Stadia, and Luna at a later date. So it's not
Right.
launching the same time as all of the other
Right.
platforms.
That's right. I do remember that now. That thanks. I can't see for putting that out. That's right. It is not coming out at launch day and date. It will be at a later point for all the cloud versions,
Hmm.
which is a huge change from Google or from Ubisoft rather. They were very much a day and date cloud streaming platform. It looks like that's maybe not happening, at least not for this one. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know why he's bringing it. Oh, sorry,
Replying.
yeah, Toffee Blue Nose. There is no E3 this year.
Yeah, there's going to be Jeff Keighley is doing his own thing, but it's not technically E3.
Yeah.
All right, dude. I think that is going to about do it for Stadiacast for this episode. So yeah, if you missed the announcement at the start of the episode, we are putting a pause on this podcast for the foreseeable future. We're going to wait for Google to make some big moves, and when they do, we will be back. We are still going to be putting Stadia content on this channel. But it might be in different places. You might be catching us talk about Stadia on deck. You might see some videos pop up from time to time with the big news announcements. And I really hope that this will be the catalyst that will cause lots of things to happen on Stadia, and then we'll be called liars, and we'll be back next week and say, "Yeah, we were wrong. We were wrong." But it more likely than not, we'll be on pause for a number of months here.
Yeah. So before we get out of here, big thank you to everybody who comes to the live shows. You guys are fantastic. Thank you to Geek to Sneak for their 10 months of membership. They said, keep up the good work, Bill and Lloyd and Bill, actually, they put the emotes in a different order. And then Hungry Moogle showed up and dropped in a membership. Thank you very much for the support there. And RG Geek sent in a super chat. They said, "Love your content, but I get it. I plan to sell my PS4 and I plan to upgrade to a Series S, which Stadia alone would be enough." And I would say that for a lot of people, Stadia alone is enough. But I've
Mhm.
never been somebody who's been interested in only one platform. I play a little bit of everything. So,
Yep.
Lloyd, before we get out of here, for the people who only listen to the show,
Mhm.
we do have a YouTube channel. Excuse me, youtube.com/nerdnest. So make sure that you head on over there. And if you are looking for stuff to listen to, if you good gravy. Uh, sorry about that. If you are an audio listener, Lloyd has Nintendo Pulse podcast, which has been going on for a billion years and a half. I have Games with Bill, which is on episode 670 something. And of course, we both are on deck, our PC gaming podcast. So
Right.
thank you guys for listening to us and hanging out with us for so long. We really do appreciate it. You could have been anywhere and you chose to spend time with us, and for that we appreciate it.
Definitely, yeah. Again, I know there's a lot of disappointment in chat and everything like that. This isn't the end. It's just a little bit of a pause for a while to allow the industry to breathe a little bit. We still are going to cover cloud gaming, maybe in a bunch of different forms. On deck and other videos. So this will be the last Stadiacast for a little while. We'll see kind of what happens with the industry, but do appreciate everybody coming out and hanging out with us. This has always been one of my best parts of the week, is coming up Sunday morning, firing up the stream and chatting with everybody in the chat room. So hopefully you'll still come out, you'll check out our other live streams that we're doing, all the other videos that we're putting, because we'd still love to hang out with each and every one of you. It's been a fun 3 years, Bill. You said, Bill, which I don't agree with, because time has no meaning anymore. I think it's been 3 weeks.
151 divided 52 times 3 is 156, so we're 4 episodes short,
and we missed a bunch of episodes as well, so not a bunch but a few, so it's probably been close to 3 years. So wow, weird. I feel old, man. Not as old as PacMan being 42 though.
There you go.
All right, everybody, that's going to do it for us here on Stadiacast. Take it easy, and we'll talk to you here next time on the Nerd Nest. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye.